Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are diving deep into the one thing that separates just being busy from being truly effective. We're talking about control. It's that secret sauce that turns all that hard work, yours and your team's, into results you can actually see and measure. So let me ask you this, and be honest. Are you just busy, or are you actually effective? You know the feeling, right? Your calendar is jammed, you're bouncing from meeting to meeting, but is all that motion actually moving the needle? That's the big question we're going to tackle today. And the answer, the thing that makes all the difference, it's control. Look, it doesn't matter if you're running a small school club, a side hustle out of your garage, or a giant corporate division. Control is the system that keeps your plan on track even when things get chaotic. Think of it like your own personal GPS for getting things done. So, how do you actually build this system of control? Well, it's not nearly as complicated as it sounds. At its heart, it's a really simple but incredibly powerful four-step loop. This is basically the engine that's going to drive all of your effectiveness. Okay, so here's how it works. Step one, you set standards. What does good actually look like? Be specific. Then step two, you measure performance. How are we really doing based on the data? Third, you compare those results to the standards you set. Are we hitting the mark? And finally, the most important part, you take action. You either correct the course, double down on what's working, or maybe realize you need a whole new plan. And you see, it's not a straight line. It's a loop that just keeps going, constantly feeding you information to get better. Now, here's what you've really got to understand. Control isn't some extra task you just tack on at the end. No way. It's the glue that holds everything else together. Your planning sets the target. Your organizing gives people the tools they need, and your leadership motivates the team. But control? Control is what tells you if any of it is actually working. It's the feedback system for your entire operation. So what's a great standard look like out in the wild? Well, think about Tim Hortons. They have a goal to get every car through that drive-through in under 180 seconds. It's crystal clear, it's easy to measure, and it's tied to a time. Every single person on that shift knows exactly what they're aiming for. Now that is a standard in action. All right, so now that we've got the basic four-step loop down, this is where it gets really interesting. Because just applying control isn't a one-size-fits-all kind of deal. In fact, it forces you, as a leader, to deal with a really fascinating strategic tension. And here it is, the big paradox. The very same systems you build for tight control, the ones that make your operation a predictable, super efficient machine, can actually suffocate the creativity you need to come up with the next big thing. It's the ultimate strategic tug of war. Do you want flawless efficiency today, or do you want game-changing ideas for tomorrow? To really get this tension, let's look at it through a couple of different lenses. First up, we've got something called agency theory, and it starts with a pretty cynical assumption, to be honest. It says that owners and employees, deep down, kind of want different things. The owner wants as much profit as possible, while an employee might just want to do enough to not get fired. So from this point of view, control systems are basically tools to make sure everyone's goals are aligned and you're all pulling in the same direction. Then you've got this other idea, cybernetic control theory. This one sees the organization more like a self-regulating machine. The best analogy? A thermostat. Seriously. It detects when things are off. Hey, it's too cold in here. And it automatically kicks on the furnace to get back to the standard you set. It's all about those automatic, real-time corrections to keep things stable. Okay, enough with the theory. How does this stuff actually play out in the real world? Let's look at two absolute titans of retail, Canadian Tire and Zara, and see how they use control in completely opposite ways to totally dominate their markets. Now think about it. They have the exact same massive challenge. Get the right stuff to the right stores at the right time across these incredibly complex global supply chains. But the way they solve that problem, they couldn't be more different. This slide just lays it all out perfectly. On one side, you've got Canadian Tire with this super tight, centralized system. It's a classic cybernetic machine, all about analyzing sales data to be as efficient as possible. Then you have Zara with a loose, decentralized model. Yeah, they have a fast feedback loop, but it's supercharged by a powerful company culture, and they are obsessed with one single metric: how fast they can turn over their inventory. This is the ultimate showdown: efficiency versus agility. So let's look at Canadian Tire's playbook. It's an absolute masterclass in tight, centralized control. They use these incredible analytics to watch what's selling and automatically reorder inventory. That's a perfect cybernetic system.
And to manage their franchise owners, their agents, they use very clear financial incentives and regular audits to make sure everybody's hitting the standards. It's like they wrote the book on agency theory.
Then you look at Zara, and they just flip the whole script. They actually empower their local store managers to order what's selling in their specific store right now. This means they give up some of that centralized efficiency, but what they get in return is incredible speed and responsiveness to fashion trends. So how do they manage the risk of giving managers so much power? Through a really strong culture and incentives that are all built around one thing: being fast.
Okay, so we've looked at the theories. We've looked at these two giants. What does all this mean for you as a leader? Let's try to boil this down into a few key principles you can actually use.
All right, here are the 3 big takeaways. First, control the drivers, not just the results. Zara doesn't just look at their final profit. They obsess over inventory turnover because they know that's what drives profit. Second, calibrate your control to your situation. Canadian Tire's tight system is perfect for their stable market. Zara's looser style is essential for the chaos of fast fashion. There's no one right answer. And third, treat control as a learning system. The data you get back isn't there to judge people. It's the fuel for your next better plan. You know, it all really comes back to this legendary quote from the management guru Peter Drucker. What gets measured gets managed. It's so true. If you want to improve something, you have to start tracking it. But the warning he gave was that you have to make sure you're measuring the things that are tied directly to your unique strategy, not just some generic numbers you downloaded from the internet. And that brings us to one last big question for the future. As AI gets better and better at doing the measure and compare steps of this loop for us almost perfectly, what's left for the human leader to do? What's our most important role? Well, it's going to shift from just monitoring the data to diagnosing it, from seeing what happened to understanding why it happened, and then using that uniquely human wisdom to decide what to do next. That, right there, is the future of control.